In this video, we're gonna work on making a card, an A4 or A4 card. So 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inches for the front, with a scrapbook overlay. And I've cut my overlay out, and I'm gonna go ahead and take it off of my mat. There's an issue, like I obviously need to change my blade. So this is your PSA. If you haven't changed your Cricut blade in a while, now's the time to do that. I'm pretty sure that I can just fix this with my fussy cutting scissors though, my cutter bees. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this off the mat. Get all these little pieces out that will come out, and it looks like it just didn't cut the full line right there. This curvy one right here. So there should be a tag that comes out here. And I can kind of see the line where it chattered across, and then this isn't coming out because it's still connected. So I'm just going to use my scissors and just finalize that cut instead of having to waste paper and do it again. And I can glue anything that might be hanging like separated, or because there's layers to the cardstock, I can just kind of glue it down and make a repair that won't be very visible. And if worse comes to worse, we just cover it with something right there. Okay, so that part right there is ripped, but it's not a big deal. And then I've got this little tag, and there's one right there in the inside of the C. Okay, so now we are ready to start working on our design. There's a little bit stuck right there. It's like it chattered across the top of the file or something. Sometimes you can avoid that by kind of moving your cut design down on your page and not having it cut right at the top of the paper, but I wasn't paying attention. I just hurried up and stuck it in there. Okay, so the plan is to use some pattern paper and cardstock from this Doodlebug collection. There's this is the coordinating cardstock that I bought with it, and then here's the Doodlebug papers. It's Monster Madness, and I want to do my card base color out of this light blue because I want to make it look kind of like evening twilight night kind of thing without being too dark, because I want that contrast with my Trick or Treat on it, which is cut out of black and looks pretty good just that way. Okay, so there's those two things, and then I've got pattern paper and tags and some stickers, so I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do with all of these or which parts I'm going to use. We're kind of going to feel it out and just use up some bits and pieces and scraps, and I've got some scraps that have been cut out too. So I'll show you how to fill it in the inside of each of these, and then we'll go from there as far as decorating. And yours doesn't have to be exactly the same. Pick and choose with what you've got. Use up your scrap pile, whatever it is you want to do. So the card is going to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 as far as, but it needs to be 4 1/4 this way when it folds, and then 5 1/2 wide. So I'm going to cut it first at 5 1/2, right? So I'm going to cut it so that it fits on this first. Oh, I can get either one out of it, so it doesn't really matter. But I want it to be, yeah, I'm just going to do it 5 1/2 because it makes more sense in my brain. I'm not mathing very well today. So there's my 5 1/2. And then 4 1/4 times 2 is 8 1/2. So I'm just going to cut this at 8 1/2. And then we can fold. And I got the new Score Buddy, but of course I didn't grab it for this. So I'm just going to do it by hand. Just line up my edges nicely. Kind of hold them. And do it a crease. And obviously if you use your Score Buddy, you won't end up with those little crackies. It'll go right where it's supposed to, but I use what I got right now. I didn't want to run off and grab something else. Okay, so we got a nice glare going on there, and I don't know how to get rid of it. It's out of the way. Okay, so there's the card base, and we're gonna attach this to it once we start filling in all those fun things. So let's go ahead and do that. And I can put some paper right there to cover that glare. I definitely want to use this orange. I'm probably going to use it in that pumpkin, or in this O right here, to make it look like a pumpkin. So I'm going to do that first. And I just kind of hold it over it and then cut off a small strip so that I'm not having to mess with all of this big paper flopping around. Grab the glue wherever I lost it to. you basically just outline kind of towards, do it towards the center or the parts that you're not going to cut. This didn't get closed the right way. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of go towards the inside and leave a little bit of edge basically there so that I can tuck my scissors back there and still be able to cut around it, if that makes sense. So anything that's past this O is overlap, and I want to be able to get my scissors underneath this paper and trim around that O. So I'm just gonna carefully, because the glue's not quite sticking, follow the outline of that O with my scissors. And it's easier to do it from the front sometimes. And as long as you're not cutting into the shape, like where you can see it inside here, it doesn't really matter how sloppy you are or what kind of lines you end up with back there. It does not have to be perfect. And this is much, much faster than trying to trace it and put it on there. So there's the O. There. Okay, T can drop in there too. Okay, what other colors do we want? We've got enough black with this. I don't think we're gonna need any contrast. Oh, that spider's cute. Let's do, should we do the spiders in the spider web up there? I think so. Just see if we can get one of those cuties to actually be sitting up there like that. Okay, so I'm gonna do some glue along the spider web. And remember, this one's broken a little, so I'm gonna do a little extra glue in the center too. And right there, that piece where it's not quite connected. And then I'm gonna line it up so that I can get one of those spiders in there. And then we can start trimming. And obviously you do this with whatever pattern paper you have on hand. I just bought this set and I was super excited to use it, so this is what I'm using for this one, but I've got some other old stuff that I'm gonna dig into and start making cards with too. So use up that stash. Scrap pieces are great for this as long as they're big enough to cover the shape that you're wanting to do. Okay. I'm just gonna clean this up while I'm here, put that aside. Okay, and then we need, oh, some of these stripes might be good. It's kind of long and skinny, so maybe in that eye. Yes, I'll cut a little piece of that off. Put some glue on the eye. Turn it back over so I can see where I'm going. I want more of the oranges and greens for that fall look. Trim that up. And as long as you didn't get too much glue on those little chattery edges, you should just be able to tuck your scissors right underneath it and not have to worry about cutting around every single little piece. I might have to do a little creative trimming right there. There we go. And the eye. Okay, gotta get that little chunk right there. The glue got too close to the edge. Here we go. I don't want to cut into it. There we go. Okay, so there's the eye. Let's do, these pumpkins might be cute in the R or the T. Let's do the T so we can get that little smiley face in there. If you want more than one letter of the word, obviously you could just go across and do the whole thing that way. I'm wanting to use up lots of pieces of this pattern, so, or of this paper. So I'm kind of bouncing between patterns. It's entirely possible I'll use that color again somewhere else to put another pumpkin in because we've got a lot of holes to fill here. We'll just see what I've got for scraps as we go. And then I left enough space between like the word trick and treat so that if you wanted to add tags or if you've got little stamped images you wanted to include in there, I think this could basically be the sentiment, and then you can tuck stuff in and around that too. So we'll keep working on this. A in green looks good. And obviously you can just use any kind of scrap because that one's I've already cut out of, it's tiny and it's still working perfectly. So you could get a ton of cards out of just little pieces. And if you wanted your Cricut to cut this, you could just cut it a couple times out of different colors of pattern paper and then mix and match the pieces that were left over. Those inside pieces, if you did this a couple times out of pattern paper, then you could just fill with those. They don't go behind the letter as well, but they fit right in that space perfectly. Okay, those ones are garbage. What size? Ooh, that's purple and it's big enough we could probably use it on something. How about this T right here? Yes. These are pieces that I had left over from doing a project earlier and I just didn't throw them away. And now I'm getting to use them on something else. And normally these pieces would just go in the garbage because they're too small. My rule is has to be bigger than 3 by 3 now because I'm being overrun by scrap pieces. Kind of hit a little bit of the black there, but it's okay. Glue too close to that black. Just trim right to the edge though. And I'm going to kind of go up the R with it just because it's stuck there, but it's okay because you can't see it in the back. And then start again past it. Okay, so there's the treat. We need a few more letters and colors. I really like this star pattern. I'm gonna use it on that T. Maybe that way. Hopefully, I think you can see with that background pretty well. I can put some white paper behind it too. Oh, we haven't used that blue star paper yet either. Make sure that's covering the glare. I have a new place to work, or space to work, and it's still figuring out lighting and my best workflow. Okay, so there's the T, and then we need, flip it over and do this R out of the star. Well, let's do the stars down here by the pumpkin so that we don't have stars by stars. A little bit of orange showing through on that one. I'm going to trim it while I'm doing this. Just take care of that at the same time, maybe. Here we go. That one's kind of bending up a little. I was getting ready to, like, the way it was grabbing my scissors, it looked like I was going to slice through that E, so I had to switch my direction there. And then once you get like lots of objects filled in, or like one on each side, it's a little bit easier for the one in the middle because you don't have to be as precise. Let's use this black candy one just to kind of, that E can be a complement to that T with the darkness, and I kind of want that eyeball in it. So I'm going to put the glue on the back and then set it where I want it before I trim it. Just because. And then I can just trim across this way. Oops, it slipped. That glue's not grabbing as fast as I'd like today. I'm not sure why. Probably because I want it to. And then on the days that you mess up and you don't want it to grab so fast. Okay, so I basically just cut a square in the back of that one. And that's a good pattern for another thing too. Because the R and the A are already done, and so I can just overlap. I don't have to be precise about it. And then I just have to do the corner of this E like that. Okay. I want this background. I'm just going to trim some of this off. Maybe use that and the R up here for a little contrast. And then we just have the C and K left to do, and then a few little embellishments, and this card will be done. Super quick and easy. And obviously, if you used your Cricut, it would be even quicker and easier. I'm looking to see what other patterns we could use. We already used the eyeball and the stripes. Oh, there's pink. We can use that. Let's give that glue a little time to set in too. Okay. And we can go down the back of this R right here, between that and the T. And then kind of across the bottom, quick and easy. Just tuck up underneath there, as long as you don't go inside the line. It doesn't really matter what it looks like. See, it's not super neat and perfect, but it still looks good on the front. Okay, did we already use that one? What do we got left here? We kind of talked about using the pumpkin again, but we've got 3 oranges there, so I don't think we need to. We need something with green. Not sure how well those... Actually, that's kind of cute with just the 2 colors. Maybe we'll do that for the K. And we need green. Do we need green? We need another blue. So let's do it that way. And then we'll put the pink right next to it. So I'm just going to cut a square out of this one. Like that big. Give myself a little leeway. And I don't know. Yeah, I think we can fill the inside of that R on the or. Just because. We'll decide on a color in a second. That one I got a little bit out, like inside the K, but honestly, with all the details going on, you're not going to see it much. And as soon as I put it on the background, it'll just kind of blend in. Unless you do it like a big old whoops. It's not a big deal. Hopefully I didn't glue that right there. Okay, let me tuck that in. I just want to tear sometimes. Seems like it'd be so much easier. Obviously not so precise, but get a little tag right there. Okay. And then the C we're going to do out of pink. And it's too bad one of these don't really fit in there. We'll find something. I might actually just leave it the way it is to accent that O. Let's look and see how it looks on our card face after we do this. have we used that pattern yet? We have not. So if we want to, we can use it inside that R, just right inside the, I can't ever remember what that's called, but like the inside of the loop. There's a specific name for it and I always forget it. Okay, this C is super easy. Just gonna do a quick around the curve. Since we've got everything else filled in next to it, you can just chop. Okay, and then the R, let's go ahead and do a little chunk of that. I'm gonna decide how we're gonna embellish. And I just glued down that whole R and I don't want to. I just want that much. And I'm actually gonna like bring my piece of paper in to line up with the edge of that R right there, so I don't even have to cut on that side. I can just go up this side and then around and be done. I gotta hold it the right way. Trying not to suck it in and like work right next to myself. And then I just noticed that that K is a little bit low right there. I don't know if that's really a big deal or not. I don't think I'm gonna try to get in there because I have a feeling I'm gonna bend it if I do. Okay, so now there's our cover, and just like that, it is super cute. You could add a little bit of glitter or bling to it and call it good, but we're gonna add a few little embellishments and then be done. I've got some stickers, and I might wanna tuck something in there, like little character-wise in there. I don't have that. A couple of those cut out might be cute. Or a strip of this little Boo Crew kind of thing along the bottom. Let's see how well they stand out. Or like right there, you could fussy cut those. I don't want that orange guy though. I want those ones like that. And then I'm just looking to see what other tabs we have here. You could almost put friends right there and then trick or treat. Let's do that. Okay, so I'm gonna pause for a second while I do some fussy cutting, and then we'll finish this up. Okay, so I just fussy cut around a few of these monsters, and you'll see I didn't even go down into the bottom here because I'm planning on kind of burying them right here like this, making them just kind of peek out, and it looks like the friends are there. So, well, they could come up a little bit even, and that little bit of white's not gonna hurt anything. I didn't want to have to get down into there, but I might do it just a little bit on this guy. Just because when you get that tiny, you're kind of either asking for trouble or you're bending stuff or you're losing detail. But I think I can get around that. And then just a little bit on this side. Plus I didn't want them to fall apart, but we've got enough of a connector right there. They shouldn't bend or have an issue. Okay, so now I'm gonna put a little bit of glue along the bottom of these guys on this edge right here, and then I'll look and see what else I need to glue once I flip it over. Okay. And I moved it off of my main piece right there just so I'm not like making a mess with it. And then I'm gonna tuck this guy in as far as I can without him coming off that far edge. And then down to cover the whites. And then I was gonna do a sentiment up in there. We could either do Halloween or October 31st or Friends. I was gonna think about using these stickers right here. I could do the Boo, just because it's kind of a card. Let's see if that fits. Kind of under, nope, it's too big. I don't wanna cut it, so I just call it good. We'll see what we can figure out, maybe with a sticker or a little bit of bling or something. Honestly, you don't have to add much more to it though, other than like maybe depending on the background color that you used for your card, you might want to add like a piece of paper on the inside, like a piece of white cardstock to this part here for your sentiment or whatever it is that you write on the inside. You could just stick a letter or something in there though too. Okay, I still feel like we need something across that down there maybe. That Happy Halloween would be cute, but it's not quite long enough. Everything else is too big. We could use, let's do this. A little bit of this purple swirl towards the top. I'm just gonna kind of eyeball where it goes, like that, because I gotta pull those centers out, so I'm gonna cut it right there. And then basically I just kind of stick those to your finger. Until you get the pile of them out. Okay, and then I'm gonna put that kind of across from the spider web just so it looks like it's kind of swirling over there. And then I'm gonna put a border down here, I think the green one, and I'm just gonna kind of tuck it. Again, I'm gonna kind of not measure by just sticking it in there and running it where I want and then trimming it. And I sometimes use these like X-Acto knives, so I'm just gonna run that down the edge right there to get my measurement, and then it should just pull apart. And then I can tuck the little pieces in. There, that's better. I just needed a little something in the bottom and the top. And then if you have glitter glue or something and you wanted to kind of bling some of those up and make them shiny, that would be a good time to do that too. You could use the Pops or the Sickles glitter glue, or you could put these kinds of things on there. Those might be fun if you wanted to glue just a few on there, but that part's up to you. Hope you enjoy, and go ahead and check out this free download in the library and all of the other good ones, and then the collection of different Halloween cut files that we have in the shop. Thanks for watching.